We have one of our competitors locked in for the grand finals of our Countdown Cup here at the Overwatch League, and we now wait to discover our second. I'm Mitch Leslie here with Matthew Morello, and it's time for the Philadelphia Fusion to take on the Paris Eternal, a fated rematch of the Summer Showdown grand final, Matthew.
This one's going to be good. The one in the Summer Showdown went the distance. It was incredible back and forth. Both of these teams, I think I think Paris has looked pretty much the same. Maybe even like you could say like a tad bit worse, but I think probably the same. They've still been pretty much lights out against a lot of competition. I think Philly's looked better since the Summer Showdown. I think this is the best Philly's ever looked this season, to be honest.
Yes, they look much cleaner. I think a lot of their players also sort of agree. I think it's a funny Astro sort of tweeting that he feels like this is the time. They're feeling like they've really tightened up a lot of the nuts and bolts of their play.
They're like a Call of Duty player. Like, there's always this meme at the beginning of every new Call of Duty game. Like, every player's like, this is my year. Then, like, every year the new one comes out, it's their year as well. Like, I feel like that's a little bit of what Philly's going on. Every time Philly's like, oh, man, this is our stage. Like, this is our cup. Like, even if they lose, they go to the next one and be like, man, we're clicking. This is ours.
It's like, happening, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they might be right this time, Matthew. Ivy and Carpe working together well in concert in the DPS, and we'll see Poco here in also Funny Astro. So, you know, obviously playing much more the Brig in general, but obviously an incredible Lucio player in his own right. And our first map will be Nepal Control, so we may see some of that depending on the approach. Alarm, we see him play Moira. I think last time we saw him on Busan playing Moira there, but he'll play everything across the series.
They seem to have kind of gone away a little bit from bringing in Boombox in certain situations to play some extra, you know, flex support. But it seems like they've decided to keep Funny Astro in on the Brig for now. We can take a look at the Paris starting lineup, as they like to do a lot of different things at the beginning of series. They go with Soon and Sparkle here. No real, well, I mean, so Ben Best comes in for map number 1. This is where you can see them play like some rush style comps at Reinhardt, especially on Nepal. You have Sunin, potentially you want to play like some Reaper May on Village. There's a lot of other kind of compositions you can make use out of this damage dealer core. I think it just shows the depth of like Paris as a team, and then also their ability to kind of mix and match with all different players. I think they only combo with the damage dealers in the main tanks. You really rarely see anybody else come out.
No, Fielder and FD Gold are locked in there at support. But yeah, sometimes we see No Smite come in, like play the Winston Zarya setup.
Yeah.
Assault will be our third map in this series. So once we get to Assault, we might actually see, you know, Volskaya, for example, a map that sort of tends to that. Maybe we even get it on Hanamura. Less likely, I think, just because of how good Sigma is in general with the off angles, and you need double shield to get through. But Temple of Anubis is also in the map pool, right? So that third map will be super interesting. We'll have to wait. We get treated to Nepal from both of these teams first.
I also don't know if you want to play the Winston Zarya against Philly's Winston Zarya. Like Sato, Poco, like those are their two best heroes.
I feel like
by far.
And they're the kind of team that really popularized playing a reactive style of dive defense with Winston setups.
I was also say, if there's a team that wants to play a little bit of a looser 1v1 individual style of play, it's probably the Philly Fusion. That's where they're at their best, when they can just let their individual skill on each of their roles win the game. I mean, that's where you think this team's strengths lie, right? It's just the individual skill of each player at their position is amongst the best in the league by far.
So Philly, I mean, if they come out with a composition like this, not a surprise to see them try and play Lucio Moira. Not all teams actually will attempt Lucio Moira on Control. It can also depend on the map here, but Philly love to do it. Alarm tends to just, you know, get 2 and 3 Ks every time a Coalescence comes up. Paris have Ashe Genji, so Paris are playing standard straight off the bat.
They have to keep space. As soon as they start to get close, that's when the May McCree Reinhardt can really be impactful. You see, this is going to be hard for Sparkle. Every time he goes in, there's going to be a big Reinhardt hammer in his face.
Yeah, I mean, Ben Best has already been dealt a psychological blow watching Sato play Reinhardt while he has to play Orisa, and, well, a physical blow might be soon to follow. Sato finds 2 with the hammer swings, and Poco, the front line for the Philadelphia Fusion, demolishes Paris early.
It's really a strong anti-Genji comp, right?
I mean,
Mei,
who
McCree,
does Genji
Sigma, sound barrier available for everybody, the Reinhardt swings. You almost could not get a more anti-Genji type of composition to come out from Philly.
Look at Ben Best, man.
Yeah, he goes right over the Ryan.
Like, well, okay, well, if that's the gentleman's agreement, I'm busting the Ryan out too.
And FD God would love to play the Lucio as well.
Here's the blade. Oh, the stun from Carpe. Interrupt Sparkle. Nothing from the Dragon Blade. And that Coalescence from Alarm did a lot of work, including getting rid of Fielder's Immortality Field. So Paris now really have to watch their steps. They try and step up with no DPS players right now.
And now you see Sparkle go over and play the Doomfist. So Doomfist is actually pretty good against like some of these brawly types of compositions, right? Go in big seismic slams. Hanbin gets a low, uses a Gravitic Flux.
No, that is forced, 100%. Ben Best goes for the charge. It looked like Poco tried to stop Ben Best from charging with the Gravitic Flux of his own. So both Sigmas use their ultimates kind of reactively here, but that sound barrier, that's pretty punishing for Paris. They don't have much to answer it here. Ivy still goes down, and the bomb timing is so sick from Soon.
Yeah, did the Blizzard ever come out, or did he die in the process of throwing it out? Ivy does not have the Blizzard, heard the sound cue, but didn't see anybody get caught inside of it. So the Philly Fusion, they do get 65% on the point. You'll come back with a Shatter in play, as we talked about with a lot of these kind of Reinhardt comps. Very difficult to land Shatters with all the extra, with the double shield on the other side of things.
Yeah, something you just go for it, right? Whatever you can find. It's mental. Hanbin has 6 final blows out of Paris' 10 right now. Sparkle Doomfist. Into the backline. Look for the Coalescing Alarm. If you can actually get a wall punch and a quick kill on the Moira, she's very weak to burst damage while in Coalescence. She will gain health back at an accelerated rate, but not really a factor here as Philly already gets sort of boomed out of this fight. Soon is looking very, very good over the last couple.
Yeah, they're able to deal with Sparkle, but not anything on the front line. Fielder with an Amp Matrix. A lot of extra damage comes down. Now you see Alarm switch. He'll go over to the Baptiste as well.
Philly now starting to make some of these tweaks, some of these changes. No Batista, so no Predito, should I say, for Funny Astro. You'll stay on the Lucio for now. So Lucio Batiste is a less commonly seen combination. Okay, here's a good big flux. Sato steps ahead of it here, but realizes, wait, my team probably needs shielding once they drop to the ground, otherwise they'll be in deep trouble. So he steps back. Sparkle goes down. Carpe looks like he was able to set up a flash kill there. And where do you look for an Earth Shatter kill if you're Sato? Back up first. Carpe's found 2 reactive kills.
Yeah, and they have to kite this Bob as he takes a shot from the Bob over on the left. If you're Philly, you got to flip this point fast.
I mean, I don't know how Ben Best finds the charge on Carpe there. That's kind of mental. Sato, nothing from the Shatter. Sparkle's there. Another kill for
That is so dirty.
And look where Hanbin has been this whole fight. He's been up on the high ground, just harassing from behind. That's mental.
The ability, though, for Sato goes to shatter Sparkle, and Sparkle dodges it with the Meteor Strike. Just goes right up in the sky as soon as the shatter comes down. The reaction time is just perfect. And Philly, it's so weird. They're not able to capitalize on that. Carpe gets 2 kills. He connects with a kill on a Sparkle and 1 on an FD God. They're not able to make it back towards the point. And like you mentioned, Hanbin just up on the high ground. Like, throwing the Hypersphere is just putting down so much extra damage that he's never able... Nobody ever deals with him.
Yeah, I mean, Carpe's kills there came from just big defensive, right? It was Sparkle tried to dive, and it was what FD God tried to get at them here. I mean, this is Soon just continuing to belt damage in. Oh, that's so tidy. Ooh, yeah.
All right, so they'll go back to the Sparkle Genji. Carpe on the Widows, same as Soon.
Philly? Still want the Dishonest team comp?
A little bit of a old school Widow matchup, right? Throw back this season 1.
Yeah, Carpe versus Soon. Yeah, a lot of memories.
They've wrapped to the fusion side of the map. I believe Carpe's off to the left here.
Yeah, I think Philly are trying to get Ivy within his effective range, as well as Sato, right? Paris don't want a bar of it, but they don't have a speed boost, so eventually Paris are going to have to fight and stand their ground.
They take the point, Paris. So Philly's still just trying to find somebody to run down here. I don't think you can do anything now, though, because you've lost Alarm.
Soon's starting to pull ahead as well, in terms of his impact on Widow. 6 final blows for him over the course of the map. last couple of rounds. Carpe a little quieter. And Philly, I mean, their play style, their strategy is extremely telegraphed. They're playing Reinhardt.
Yep.
They cannot stand at 40 paces from Paris. They have to close the gap. Paris know this, so they play around that fact.
Carpe with just a body shot there on the field. They're able to heal it up, but the other 4 players just rotating around. You're not able to get anything.
I don't think this is going to work.
Nah,
so obvious
they
what
may
Philly
have to
are trying
change.
to do.
Yeah.
Sparkle to an easy cleanup here. And you could see, right? Philly trying to push around the side. Then Best just stands on the point. He gets free holds. He gets like an off angle given to him.
Yeah. This is bad because now you lose Sato.
Oh no, by spawn too? Yikes.
Well, so here's the issue. If you switch, we're already at 70. It's going to be 70% and counting here for the Paris Eternal. Look at everybody's ult charge for the Fusion. They've done nothing so far. So nobody's close to anything. If you switch off of it, you may have a situation where your team doesn't have any ultimates the entire round.
I mean, all right, Philly now, they at least force the Immortality field. Sparkle has a blade, but oh my. Oh, that is crazy that he goes for that. So, yeah, learn some respect, young buck, he says as he catches him with a Fire Strike. Philly, though, by no means out of the woods. They've got to move to the point now. And Sato's going to lose his shield while he's in midair, and they're being healed a little bit by Alarm, but it's not enough. They take half of their max HP when they hit the ground, right? That is more than a Lucio Moira can account for. Paris, better composition, better execution, a far better start out of the gates for the Eternal.
Yeah, Philly had some opportunities on the first point, but I mean, that was ugly on the second point there on Nepal. They were trying to run them down with a Lucio, Mei, like, brawl type of comp. The Paris just ran away. They were able to get pickoffs, not able to create any angles for Carpe to get anything done on the Widow. Not a great performance here in map number 1 from the Fusion.
Yeah, just as I was looking over the play of the game there, I mean, Alarm does a huge amount of healing, right? And it's 35% of his team's damage, which is extremely good, right? But you don't have burst healing in this lineup, right? You are dealing with a Doomfist. You're dealing with an enemy Zenyatta and with Gravitic Flux, which, you know, if you don't have Immortality Field to deal with it, which you don't, by the way, you need a way to quickly top people back up.
Right.
And Philly are just running Paris across long distances. On Sanctum, you can use that against the enemy team so easy if you're playing Orisa setups.
Yeah, I mean, they're never able to get anything going on the second point. Like I mentioned, you could have switched off, but you would have had no ultimates the entire round. You pretty much had to hard commit at that point. And they still don't really make any type of progress towards getting the point whatsoever. Yeah.
Well, let's see if Philadelphia can dismiss this map 1 performance as a flash in the pan and they can turn up with composition more suited to the map. We'll see after the break. Stick around. Map 2 is right around the corner.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network, T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Welcome back, everybody, to our Countdown Cup semi-finals. It is the Paris Eternal versus the Philadelphia Fusion. The latter who looked a little bit under the weather in that first map.
A little bit.
Nepal was very good to Paris, not so much to the Fusion.
It started out good for Philly. There were even some other moments, like, you know, Carpe with the 2K, but then they're not able to take the point. And then as we moved to the next stage, it was just brutal for the Philadelphia Fusion. Well, I mean, there's no other way to explain it. And they just run around circles around the map, don't really fight much of anybody, and Paris just wins the map.
I mean, what even happened on Sanctum? I don't even remember. I feel like it was over so quickly.
Yeah, because it was. Going into this next map, though, the Fusion's pick, it will be Numbani. We have a ton of changes for both sides. So you'll have 2 subs come in for the Paris Eternal, and then 2 changes that happen for the Philly Fusion.
Right. Yeah, so it's Hisu and Fury into Philly, right?
Yeah, so it'll be Hisu and Fury in for the Philly Fusion. For the Paris Eternal, they bring in Exi and they bring in No Smite. This tells you that both teams, with the composition and the roster changes they make, they want to play some Winston type of compositions. On Numbani, you definitely can, obviously. There's a ton of high ground verticality, able to dive, access backlines, etc. So you'll see potentially like Sombra Genji from both teams. Maybe even Exi comes in, play some Ashe, play some Sombra, etc.
Yeah, I mean, against Dive, it's a little harder, I guess, for Exi to sort of maybe play the Widow as much as he would like. You could play, you know, Widow Genji on this map, maybe, if you want to go for something a little bit different. But the more that you can leverage at the enemy Winston to shut them down, the better you're going to be, right?
I was going to say,
Sombra's very powerful. Hacking Sigma especially, turning off the Sigma for a few seconds is huge. So keep an eye out on those hack targets.
I was like, maybe even McCree for Exi at some point. It's a possibility.
That will depend. That will depend on what
how they're dealing with the dive.
Philly.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of some hit scan that he could play on top of playing like a Sombra in this type of scenario. That could be a little bit friendlier to dive because, I mean, like you mentioned, he could get taken advantage of playing the Widow.
Ashe can obviously do a fair bit to Winston if he dives in with Coach. Coach Gun incredibly powerful. Anything that redirects Winston while he's mid-dive is first of all incredibly frustrating for the Winston player, and secondly, it creates a ton of safety. So, you know, whether it's whip shot or whether it's Coach Gun or anything like that, a boop even, to stop a Winston getting to his intended target, that makes a big difference.
So Philly Fusion on defense, like we mentioned, with this lineup, and you are going to see more of a composition like this. Sato on Winston, Fury comes in, he'll play Zarya. And then you have Hisu come in for Carpe. This will allow them to play the Sombra. They can also play like Tracer if they wanted to as well, but Sombra really good in these types of scenarios. Paris Eternal, they're going to play the same exact thing pretty much on offense. Potentially FD God plays a Lucio, but most likely Speed Boost and then a swap.
Yeah. I think the biggest difference makers in this, with these compositions, could actually be Alarm and Fielder, respectively. Biotic Grenade is so nasty when Winston especially is able to punish it by adding damage on top to multiple people. So, I mean, there it is.
As you say that, yeah, as you were talking about that, 3-player Biotic Grenade comes in from Alarm right off the rip.
Alarm, I mean, MVP candidate, by the way. Absolutely nutty when it comes to his Ana. It is just filthy. Sato's forced to concede the high ground briefly here. Okay, he spots Winston. Note the hack that actually went on to No Smite as he tried to dive there. So once he gets to his target, I don't know if he can even put a shield down. He had to back out there awfully quick, but Sato gets blown up.
Yeah, he gets hacked as he's on the point, and he kind of gets stuck in a little bit of like no man's land in between his team and the Paris Eternal. They're able to get a hack on him, and it looks like you're not even able to get a touch here if you're the Philly Fusion. They just an Ivy in there. He gets taken out rather quickly. So lightning fast first point take there for the Paris Eternal.
Yeah, Ivy tries to ask a question there of Paris, maybe tries to make something happen, but he's dealing with a Winston as well. You just don't really, it's just guaranteed damage by being close to Winston. So really difficult for Genji to actually apply pressure when he has to go through the Tesla cannon. Hanbin gets the high ground. I wonder how long he opts to stay here. maybe not. Maybe long enough to charge up and then drop back down to his front line. Yeah, seems maybe the case with Winston in his face. That's annoying.
He may as well, yeah. Zarya, you remember Sinatra last year, right? Zarya on the high ground, dude, obviously goats, but he'll make great use of it. He'll be rallied from FD God as he saw the EMP coming down.
Both Hisu and Xe are down though, FD God.
This is such a big grab though.
Rally, Grav was also there. Hanbin. I mean, yeah, we have Hanbin versus Fury, by the way. What is this? This is such a sick matchup for off-tank players as well. We're going to have two of them today.
This is so fast for Paris, though. This is really worrisome for Philly. Like, like the way that Philly's played throughout the entire Countdown Cup, they've been able to switch between all these compositions and really make teams pay for it. And Paris comes in here and is just doing it better, at least right now.
I mean, the fact that they have an EMP now for this next fight, by the way, a little bit hard to avoid getting EMP'd if you're playing on the corner of this little L-shaped road.
Nanoblade for the Fusion here. So this should be a fight win.
Depends when the EMP happens. Okay, Xe, I think he tried to EMP there, and then he got put to sleep instantly. That's bizarre. Sparkle also got hacked during his blade, so he's a fantastic job there, and now Ivy gets to turn around with the nanoblade of his own. Finds two already, make it one more, and that'll be it. What happened to Paris just now?
Oh, that was a bad fight for the Eternal. I mean, that may allow Philly to come back into this. As you see the bubbles on a Hisu, that allows him to just stay in a little bit longer, farm that EMP up. Yet again.
I can't tell if Xe tried to EMP inside a Winston bubble or something like that. He got no one at all with that EMP. And then slept?
They did have Sato hacked for a bit, but Sato was in Primal Rage. They weren't able to do much of anything to him.
Before we move on, it's possible that Xe was actually slept during the animation.
Yeah.
It is Alarm that we're talking about there. We'll get confirmation for you on that one later on, but very small interaction, but that could have just taken all the wind out of Paris' sails here. Hisu has an EMP, and what? This one doesn't miss. No Smite is doused in Biotic Grenade instantly. And the Winston goes bye-bye. And the Fusion want to chase a little bit there. Sato, though, good discipline. Doesn't go for too much as Paris tried to go aggressive.
They have to be so careful around Hanbin. He's been so highly charged throughout this game that every time Sato goes in, you can understand why Sato wants to, because wants to just build up more towards that Primal, push players back. This will be a grab early from Fury. That'll be a nano boost used by Fielder and FD God with a rally.
Oh boy! Another one from Alarm! And Sparkle's caught napping on the job once more. Dragon Blade goes by the wayside, but Philly is still hit by four players with an EMP. Harbin's charged up, average energy almost 60 at this point, and he wants to keep pushing. But a Primal Rage Winston is a difficult target for him to bypass, and right now, we're trying to get the most out of his shielding and likely have to back away. Seriously, just give Alarm MVP.
MVP, dude.
Team MVP.
What a sleep from Alarm is. Sparkle was he was ready to go. I mean, that's a game-winning blade right there, right? Alarm saves the day for the Philly Fusion.
Oh, Bio, but it's going to be 4-player EMP. Hisu, pretty consistent on this Sombra so far. It's looked excellent, and that was nice by No Smite. Able to get away just as Sato used the jump to try and close the gap. No Smite may not have healing. It doesn't have a lot here. Sato may have bitten off more than he could chew. Fortunately, Funny Astro's keeping tabs on him.
Yeah, and a Biotic Grenade connects on Fielder and No Smite, and Fielder was basically 1 HP, so if that Biotic Grenade doesn't come through, they probably commit there and go in on it. But Nano Blade available for the Philly Fusion, also a Graviton Search, and now Philly's starting to regain some control here. I mean, Alarm so clutch, man. Those sleeps have been so crucial for Philly. He doesn't connect on 2 of those in the last 2 fights. We're looking at like Paris having like 4 minutes.
Xe EMP now. No Smite getting blown up though. Sato is okay. I mean, he gets the nano boost to keep him alive, and all that attention Paris tried to pay Sato kind of gets wasted now that he gets healed up in a pinch. He doesn't need to have cooldowns if he has his team pocketing him.
No, you don't get the opportunity for a Nano Blade, but you will have Rally plus Blade, potentially, for the next fight. Xe will switch off Sombra, and he'll go over to McCree here, so...
I've been... 3 HP in a dream.
They allow Hisu to farm so much EMP charge by just using the Zarya bubbles on him as well. Like, just the extra few seconds being able to stay in there on Sombra is everything.
Offensive dive there from Sato. He backs away, and Rally's even used by Funny Astro. The Eternals still want to force the issue, though. They're walking into a pretty durable Philly side, and Sparkle got hacked in midair. He has no dash available. Even if he gets a kill with the blade, he can't dash once more. That's crazy. He got completely shut down there. Ivy's able to find Sparkle, but the card is moving closer. Fury can't get there. The Primal Rage keeps him off. Hisu touches, though, and Sato returns. Philadelphia, I mean, they look to be one of the best teams when it comes to playing this dive style. Everything is perfect. Hisu single-handedly shutting down multiple players on the Paris Eternal, and they're switching. Sparkle's like, no, I'm not playing Genji anymore. That's ridiculous.
No, and this is what you expected from Philly when they played this type of composition. They've looked tremendous on it throughout the Countdown Cup. Now they force the Paris Eternal to switch off of this. And this is where having no smite in the game, right? You want him in there to play the Winston. If your Winston comps aren't going, yeah, he can play the Orisa, but it's not your first option.
Just great. Hacking a Genji as he comes at you with a Dragon Blade just completely ruins him. He has no snowball potential. The resets don't matter.
Sparkle wants to go nowhere near Alarm right now. See how far they need like multiple players to go near Alarm to feel comfortable.
Alarm, Nano Boost dispensed. Fury this time gets it 70 charge, and he goes for a long shot there. The Graviton connects, charged up though. Nice bubble given out there. And all of Paris again have to back away. That's another sleep on Ivy. Nicely done by Fielder to connect that one. And there'll be a Nano Boost here for Fielder in this next fight. I suppose no smite gets it, but FT God already gets burned down, and Fielder's hacked. He couldn't give his ultimate away. No Nano available for Paris, and no time left.
Philly with their backs against the wall comes up clutch there. I mean, sometimes that's all you need though, is like your team is your team's getting rolled. It doesn't look good. You need somebody to make a play, like somebody to get the vibes, the mental going in the right direction, right?
I mean,
Alarm with those sleeps is the type of play that gets everybody in the comms hyped, gets everybody feeling positive, going in the right direction.
Here's Xe trying to go for an EMP, by the way. Okay, if you don't vote for Alarm MVP, you are dead to me! If you don't vote MVP, this guy, what? Look, you got a Zarya bubble. It was
right before the bubble.
Too late. Oh, what is going
and that's
on,
not
dude?
even that's not even the sleeps on the Sparkle blades coming through.
I mean, Xe. It wasn't just Sparkle that had an awful time dealing with.
No.
I mean, between. You have so much disruption between Alarm, Astro, and Hisu. I mean, Paris don't get to use their abilities. They actually don't really get to play Overwatch. They're playing Sausage Simulator. They're just walking around like pork chops.
And like I mentioned, maybe Xe in the pregame, like maybe we see him play a McCree because it's a little bit safer against this dive. That's exactly what he goes to on D. And look, if the Philly Fusion are going to see this, and they should dive the McCree. Like, McCree obviously has no mobility. It's a fairly easy dive target, especially when you have a situation where you're playing dive with like a Zarya in the mix and you can bubble people as they're going into the McCree.
I mean, yeah, if the Winston is bubble as well, the McCree's flash just feels so awful trying to... Look at this discipline from Sato. My God. Dives in, backs up a little bit there, tries not to give Hanbin too much charge. Fielder here with the Bionic Grenade briefly.
We've seen Sato play the Winston into, you know, really strong anti-dive compositions in the past. Remember the Philly Fusion used to play this type of style with a Winston on defense on Rialto.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite maps to see him on, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they did on Volskaya a bunch as well. You know what I like? That Sato's just actually playing safe because he's charging up Fury. He's just popping up, diving, and then backing off to make sure that his Zarya is doing tons of damage. Philadelphia Fusion, they just get the one pick on Sparkle earlier on, right, Matt? And they're just able to move up.
Yeah, and I think if Philly is to win this, I would love to know what the guys in the Watchpoint desk think, because I think this puts Paris in such a weird position for the rest of the series in terms of substitutions, because you've seen yourself play this like Reinhardt Orisa, and it's worked against the Fusions Reinhardt Orisa. Now with a Nano Blade coming through, Ivy will just be able to cut through players. The Paris Eternal. What do you do in terms of like your main tank rotation and subs for the rest of the series if you're the Paris Eternal? I'd be really interested to hear what the guys on the desk think, because I think it could be a really tough decision and potentially an issue for Paris moving forward if Philly's able to win this map.
And do you expect, right, that Philadelphia, over the next couple of maps, we'll have a moment, which is Assault and Escort, are going to keep trying to play this Sombra Genji style?
Absolutely, yeah. You know, when you think of like hybrid maps and even Assault, you can make the Winston compositions work much more than like a Control, where there's just like a standard point where usually like a more stable composition can win out.
There's the EMP, big one at that.
Exi put the Sully behind while he's dead-eyeing.
Trying to dead-eye, no chance. Alarm gets him yet again. Looks like Keys' EMP actually didn't connect onto nearly as many people as I thought, or any, but it doesn't matter. Paris Eternal, they break line of sight for a time, but they just used Primal, they just used Graviton Surge, Rally, and it just didn't matter, man.
You can tell they're just struggling for answers. Sparkle on Genji, then on Tracer, now on Sombra, Exi on McCree, was on Sombra, like, you know, everything they're throwing at Philly, Philly's just able to deal with. Now Philly will have the advantage here of they can come in, maybe Primal Rage. They can use the Primal to build up Nano Blade here towards the end.
I love to build it. Don't worry about it. Yeah, and Nano Blade time already. I've been waiting on the pull. Okay, Shield Bash. Look at him. Oh, that's so smart. He waits for the bash. He knows he'll get a dash reset if he can slash the Brick, who's already going to be in his face after Shield Bashing him. Maybe I'm overthinking it. That is pretty sick from Ivy, though, if that was what he was trying to do. Great approach. He gave himself a split second just to assess the situation as he rounded the corner. Philly have 4 minutes and 35 seconds. To call this a drubbing would be an utter understatement. Now it's going to be no smite on the Wrecking Ball to try and do something, but my God, Paris get absolutely blown out of the water.
Well, you see this for Philly, and obviously every map is different with terms of like geometry and whatnot, but like it's just so odd to see a team in map number 1 just look so out of it and then come back in map number 2. What, they finished like 4 minutes in the time bank there. That was like one of the faster Nubanis. As they just dominated. The Paris Eternal had no answer for the dive and the aggression of the Philly Fusion. And it's interesting because Paris is usually the one forcing the aggression on the other team and forcing them to react. We have never really rarely seen the Paris Eternal have to react to a team being more aggressive than they are and being more effective with it. We saw how they reacted there. It wasn't pretty. We'll have to see how they adjust after halftime.
I mean, Ivy has 17 final blows. That's how many the Paris Eternal as an entire unit had. You can vote for your T-Mobile MVP if you're interested. Alarm is one of them. So is Exi as well. So there are a lot of them in this particular game.
Yeah,
Overwatchleague.com/MVP is where you can put in your vote. Or you can visit there to find more information. Crazy stuff. We're going to go to halftime. We're going to get some information ourselves from our experts at the game break to try and make sense of this utter madness that has just transpired.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by HyperX. Unleash your style, unleash your fury with HyperX Fury Memory. And by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back to another game break presented by Cheez-It Grooves. Another match tied at 1 apiece. We got the Philadelphia Fusion taking on the Paris Eternal, and this one is quite even. Summer Showdown rematch. We expected it to be close, Costa. Both teams really firing on their own cylinders in different kind of compositions. Initial thoughts on this close map?
I think we were both a little worried when we saw that first map. It was like, oh no, is like Philly gonna like fall down? Is Paris just really that good? But fortunately, when we got into the second map, it was a lot closer.
Yeah, it was a lot closer. So let's kick things off, of course, with map 1. We went to Nepal, and it was a map pick of the Paris Eternal. They're the number 2 seed, and Philadelphia Fusion, they came out with Ivy on May. So that begs the question, really. Do we think that this was Philadelphia Fusion, you know, trying to counter-strat the Paris Eternal? Do we think they were just coping with the map pick, trying to really make it work? Obviously, Paris Eternal just steamrolling ahead here. What are your thoughts on their composition?
I actually think it was really good on the first map. I just don't think they were expecting Sparkle to switch to this Doomfist. I think the Doomfist really threw a wrench in their plans on the first round on Shrine, I believe it is, and just did absolutely so much work. And then we went to the second round, and I had a lot of question marks about whether or not like that was going to be good on Sanctum, and they just really struggled to do the ring around the Rosie. They just never caught them, and Carpe would just never had the space to get kills.
Yeah, and I mean, it deserves to be said as well that Paris Eternal are just putting on a clinic. Like, this is some of the best gameplay I've seen from Paris Eternal in a long while, and especially Hanbin on that Sigma has been super impressive. You saw the stat card, the stats were good, that tells the story. But we went on to map 2, and this is where we saw a big shakeup in terms of compositions. Philadelphia Fusion retorting to the dive composition, which they have been so very good at as of recent. And this is personally what I've liked to see the most from the Philadelphia Fusion. When they come in, they put Hisu on the Sombra and Sod on that Winston play as well. So this is really where you saw that there is a good win condition for Philadelphia throughout the rest of this series. And I think this is very indicative of how we'll see both of these teams play it out. That being said, Paris were no slouches either on this dive composition.
Yeah, I think we're seeing the flexibility of the Paris Tunnel here, and you're seeing when they move people in and out. But Philadelphia's pure aggression on how they play this with Ivy on that Genji, Hisu on that Sombra, it's just unparalleled. And when you have Alarm just sleeping the world, I think it's really hard for the Paris Eternal to win this. I'm curious to know if this is going to be indicative of the rest of the series. If the Philadelphia Fusion can dive, are they going to have the edge? And if we get in a situation where the brawl style is better, is Paris going to thrive?
Yeah, and I mean, we are in a situation as well now with the maps where Paris Eternal, they won the initial control map, right? So they get more losers pick maps where they can potentially close it out in the series with their own map pick, right? So that's going to be interesting. Mitch asked a question as well, what we think about Ben Best versus No Smite, right? Because if Philadelphia are going to force this dive style, does Paris want to match it with No Smite on the Winston themselves?
Yeah, I think Matt and Mitch really highlighted a really interesting argument of, for Paris, is the best situation to stick with what's working with Ben Best on that Reinhardt, or stick with what's been successful in the past on No Smite? Obviously, Paris is no slouches to dive, but is that just not your win condition in this match? I'm interested to see if they make adjustments, you know, relative to what their plans might have been before coming into this match. Everything has changed now, so I'm interested if they go back to that.
All right, well, let's take a look at our crunch time presented by Cheez-It Grooves. And we wanted to highlight the Paris Eternal great play here. We talked about Hanbin already, and he had a great Graviton Surge on Numbani. And you really saw the Paris Eternal come alive and win some of these fights that they really shouldn't. So we see Hisu coming out with the EMP, Costa, and I mean, it's just like a cascade of ultimates from Paris here to end up winning the fights anyway.
I think this is the moment that both you and I were like, wow, this this team is just going to work on a different level. And there was so much aggression. Like, I don't think, I was like, man, Paris is just going to run away with this. Because they countered this so well. Philly come out with the EMP, gets so much value out of it, but FD God gets a really good rally at the moment that it comes off because he saw it coming, and Hanbin just knows his limitations. He's been so good as of late, and he just knows that he can win this if he goes aggressive with that Graviton, and that's what was scary about it. But then that's when Philly put up that 3rd-point hold, and then all of a sudden it flipped on its head.
Yep, and we're tied at 1-1. That's our crunch time presented by Cheez-It Grooves. We got a substitution. Ben Best coming back in for Hanamura. Ooh. And I can imagine that this is Paris Eternal trying to force the double shield composition. What do we think?
Yeah, I think that's going back to what we just talked about with, I think Paris understanding that their win condition is probably having Ben Best on this brawl, I think they can just run over them. And I think you were saying it the best earlier when we were watching is like, they just look so aggressive, they look so clean that it kind of feels like Philly can't play their aggressive, oppressive style. So I want to see that again from them in this Hanamura map.
All right, well, let's head into the second half of this match between the Philadelphia Fusion and the Paris Eternal. Second half coming up with your casters, Uber and Mr. X.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, with the semi-finals of the Overwatch League Countdown Cup. I mean, as far as we know, the last installment of our monthly cups here, and we have Philly and we have Paris fighting for their spot in the finals against San Francisco. And Matt, we saw two very lopsided maps in either team's favor. Paris come out the gates, look incredibly good. They look so good. Their Ash play looked really nice. Soon was firing, and then on the other side, it was Philadelphia with a Sombra Genji comp that looked to be stronger.
Yes, when we got to Numbani and we saw Philadelphia go on the offensive with a really strong dive, Paris tried to match it and they were not able to do so. which the guys on the desk were talking about now coming in. They're going to see Benbest come back in for the Paris Eternal. This tells me exactly what the guy said. The Pakusa, I think specifically, was saying that like their win condition is to play the Reinhardt and play like a little bit more brawly, like Reinhardt, play Orisa, like get in there, not play this Winston type of setup. If they play the Winston type of setup, we've already seen what's happened with that direct matchup with the Philadelphia Fusion. Philly stays with the same roster. No changes for Philly. So they're going to probably try and run that Winston yet again here on Hanamura.
And does that work okay for you? Because we've seen teams that have played sort of the Winston comps and other maps go away from it when we get to Hanamura, right? Go back to double shield.
Oh, we've seen it. We see a lot in the APAC. They run a lot of this type of composition. Paris just looked really good in map 1 with Benbest in and just kind of circumventing a little bit of the aggression that Philly was trying to do. Philly was trying to play like a rush style composition, run them down. They played it really smart with Benbest in the game. So let's see how bringing in Benbest affects the Paris Eternal now.
Yeah, you can, I guess, you know, the Eternal showed that they were able to sort of run and kite a Reinhardt-based composition. Can they kite a Winston-based comp? Maybe they don't want to. Maybe they want to belt Winston with a Reinhardt or something similar. Either way, Philadelphia don't make any changes to their lineup here, so Ivy and Hisu remain in.
Yeah, or they just play like Orisa Sigma with Benbest in, and they feel like the Orisa Sigma setup, they can really start to punish the Winston comp. Although we've seen teams in the past, in NA and in APAC, make the Winston composition with the Sombra Genji work into double shield.
I mean, we love it. When we talked about Philly being the team that wants to play, you know, on maps that have distinct attack and defense sides, i.e. not control, they will try and play this sort of dive setup, and it will be Winston and Xayah here. No changes for Philly based on their Numbani composition.
And Paris will play a little bit of what we saw on Control. Potentially with FD God staying on the Lucio for the speed boost, Benbest on the Reinhardt. Run them down. Pick a target and run them down. Right here, the one target you're looking at, potentially Fury, right? No mobility on Zarya.
Yeah.
How do they keep Fury up? Because they're probably going to try and run him down with like a Mei wall and get Benbest right in his face.
I mean, that's all their sustained damage, Fury, when he's charged up. So if Philly don't have him in the mix, I mean, if Xayah bubbles, break the bubble. All right, you might give her a bit of charge, but if all 6 players are just committed to removing the player, then you take a huge chunk of the enemy damage away. Teleport to the point here. It's going to be Symmetra for Rexy now. They get there in time. Sparkle's going to be playing behind his Rein shield as much as he can. And now Philly are the ones that have to make their move.
And you see they don't want to fight on the point, Philly. They end up losing Sato. We have a trade 2 for 2. It's a hack on to Fielder, so no mobility on the Moira, but already 1 tick in favor of the Paris Eternal.
I mean, this is why the Eternal are even in this game in the first place, Matt, while they're in the semis. Because they figured out an answer, and they look really good playing this style. FD God was dangerously low there as Ivy went for a swift strike and almost got the kill on the Lucio. Philly have some time to trickle back in.
Philly's going to come back in here,
Getting rid of FD God is pretty big here. The speed boost is not important for the Eternal right now, but the healing helps.
And they were trying to take out Ivy with that Coalescence. They lose 2 players in the meantime, and Ivy will take out Exi and Benbest as Philly is able to turn it. So Philly able to bounce back. They get that fight win, but Paris does get 2 ticks. So if you're the Paris Eternal, there's no reason to kind of move away from... look, maybe Hanbin goes back and plays, let's say, Sigma. This time he's going to go play D.Va. But there's no reason to move completely off this comp. I actually like the adjustments, even bring in the Reaper. Double down on what you're doing. Play this aggressive brawly style of composition.
And if you're Philly, you still don't want to play on the point. But now you have to even more urgently because there's only 1 tick left. And I mean, you have a Wrecking Ball instead of a Xayah, so your potential damage definitely gets flattened a bit. But Hisu just, I mean, that's just a cerebral play. He waits behind, finds himself an easy pick up here. Sato jumps the Earth Shatter. A little bit annoying for Benbest to try and control the Winston right now. And Ivy adds to the chaos with a Dragon Blade. How long can Philly keep getting away with this, man?
I mean, I think you'll see the Paris Eternal. Do you stay on the Symmetra? You have the barriers, so you can TP to point maybe, but they're going to be walking into EMP Minefield. A really good combination on the point. So this, even if you use the Symmetra barrier, right? EMP will just remove it completely. So
Hisu gets such an easy rallying point here to set up with this Sombra. He can get as they move through the choke, you can get a big EMP. Nice speed boost, though. He can't actually catch the Eternal right now.
That's a big pick.
They move on in. They get rid of Ivy early in the fight. Here's that EMP, but FD is so smart. He stays out of line of sight and is still able to get the sound barrier in time after, crucially, the EMP. Really good solution here from the Paris Eternal. Elegant approach, and they'll have themselves the point here.
It's such an odd interaction that you rarely ever see, but they use the EMP to get rid of the Symmetra barrier, which allows them to get a free sound barrier. So FD gets the sound barrier off, allows Paris Eternal to take first point. So good offense from the Paris Eternal. They're doing exactly what the desk thought they should, and which is the right call here, is to play that brawly style of composition. So now let's see how they approach this. They have some ultimates to work with to potentially really set a good time with a point B take.
Sparkle has to use Wraith Form a little early here. Still, the Eternal are able to stay together as a unit. Remember, they have Lucio, they have Moira. This is what they want to be. They are a death ball right now, and to the point they go. That bubble has expired on Sardos. He'll have to use Primal Rage to stay alive right now. Benbest is hit with a Bionic Grenade, but Sardo's taking a lot of damage very early. Nano Blade from Ivy, though. Xy's down. Shatter perfect from Benbest. Silences Ivy just as he was about to keep Philly in this defense. And now things are getting dicey for the Fusion. Sparkle now going to try and go in for a Death Blossom that doesn't get value. Fury lasers him down.
And that is, it's so frustrating there because Hanbin is in the perfect position with the defense matrix there for Sparkle's Death Blossom. Obviously, Fury's Zarya Beam doesn't really care for defense matrix, so you're able to deal with Sparkle. Get a defensive hold here. Philly doesn't give up a tick. Paris is a pretty good attempt. Paris will be able to come back in and have that same type of setup here, where they'll have the Xyz Symmetra wall, and then if that gets EMP'd, you'll be able to sound barrier potentially right after.
So again, this is one of those peaks in Philly's ultimate economy that makes him look a little more dangerous than normal. Doesn't help that Paris used a bunch in that previous fight and couldn't even get a tick. This EMP promises to be nasty against the team who wants to group up by definition. Hanbin cornered off for a brief period of time. A lot of free ultimate charge for Ivy. And here's that Symmetra barrier now being used. Sardo gets out instantly.
I don't EMP this. I think he probably could have waited, but they actually connected FD God, so this is a much better EMP.
I was going to say this, but you're a platinum gamer.
You could have waited it out as well, because they're just trying to bait you into it, right? Where you could have grabbed right after potentially. Still been up in like a favorable type of trade. But they EMP, they get rid of the Symmetra barrier. Now Benbest will go and play the Orisa. So this is even more of a stationary type of composition. You can play on the point. Yeah, look, play really strong anti-dive. You play the Orisa.
Why not take Baptiste instead of Moira here, do you think?
And Moira provides just a ton of like AoE healing, good mobility to get away from like a Genji, as well as it's really easy. Let's say you're going to get hacked to just turn and get like a grasp right on the Sombra.
Right.
Prevent the hack from going through.
Yeah, I wonder how it works here. I mean, maybe just wanting to build another Coalescence. Alarm, I mean, this guy, cold as ice, doesn't nano his Winston even though Sardo was very low. Good Bionic Grenade onto the perfect target in Sparkle, who obviously can't regenerate health by doing damage while he's bioed, but that gets cleansed off by the looks of things. And Ivy finds Sparkle first. Sound Barrier is very good from FD God, but it's not enough to protect his team from Nanoblade, especially, Matt, when Paris don't have an Immortality field without Baptiste currently.
Now Paris Eternal, you have one last chance here. You'll have Coalescence. Sparkle switches over to the Doomfist, but they're going to be walking a Grav Rally EMP. That is a devastating combination of ultimates. You got to get close together. They're going to have the speed boost here.
It feels like Paris
to try and
are
get a touch.
3 different compositions, Matt, at once. I mean, they have like an anti-dive main tank with like a death ball support line. The Diva's also there. Sparkle's there just to try and Falcon punch his way through. And it's a big EMP. That means Benbest can't do anything but stand there and await his demise. Paris,
Alarm with a sleep onto Xyz trying to get that Deadeye off in the choke.
Xyz can't Deadeye. I mean, he can't stand still. Otherwise, Alarm is going to put him to sleep. Paris Eternal pull up pretty short, going for point B.
I like what Paris is trying to do, though. I mean, although they're not able to take point B, they did make a lot of really good attempts where they were close to getting progress, almost able to break through, like trading kills back and forth. I think you do worry, though, that you're not able to win. Well, this is more of a test, right? You play like Death Volley on defense and play really like anti-dive, you can make a strong defensive point A stand. Like, point A is not strong for dive and mobility, verticality, right? If you lose point A, I think point B is where you worry, because that's where the dive becomes effective, right? We saw Philly on defense with their dive. They weren't really, their point A defense was pretty bad. I mean, all things considered. Yeah. Like, they're able to keep it going for a long time.
Longer than I expected.
Right, but it wasn't like the ideal perfect defensive setup, and I think it's just hard to play dive on defense here. Paris Eternal's composition is way more standard. The Baptiste with the Brig now, good combination against a dive, like Immortality Field, keep everybody up. Brig provides a ton of AoE healing, and then the Orisa Sigma. How does the Philly Fusion play around this? Can they make it work on point A? If they can make it work on point A, it makes it very difficult for Paris Eternal to hold the high ground on point B.
Who is the priority target for Philadelphia if they want a successful dive here, Matt? Do they try and catch Hanbin out on his own, or is it someone else?
I think you can deal with Xe or Sparkle. I don't think it really. I think teams in this situation get baited into taking the fights with the tanks, trying to eliminate one of the tanks. It's so difficult to take out the tanks with the Brig right there, especially with how beefy both Sigma and Orisa can be with Fortify and Kinetic Grasp. That instead of getting baited into that, try and just double back for the tanks. The damage dealers really can get the benefits of like all the Orisa healing.
Oh my, that burst is nasty! So,
I mean, that's gonna happen. That's why you want to play this comp.
That's why it's even scary to play this on defense, because if Philly are defending and they lose Sato like that, like, they have to play a weird disjointed stall fight, which they did, in fairness, but it's harder that way. Now, can we get Fury charge? Is that what Philly are trying to do here, is maybe, you know, use Sato to get Fury in a position where those shields melt?
Yeah, you get charge up EMP, charge up Grav, Nano Blade, right? There's a lot of ways that Philly could potentially win this. That's a big hack.
Fielder, I mean, he can't use Immortality Field, so the dive's harder to stave off, and yet he's able to survive initially. He may get knocked off the map here, but he got to deploy his Immortality Field in the end. So Sato gets the kill. He gets two. Oh, he gets Xe. Xe takes such a risk fighting him so close to the edge of the map, Matthew. And now Sato is just going to go on the rest of the Paris Eternal here. Fury's fully charged up. No! And the sleep down on Sparkle again. Alarm! Enter Sandman! The Paris Eternal are running out of options now in this fight, and Fury is just getting stronger the longer it goes.
The hack is really what sets it up. I mean, the highlight plays after from Sato, Primal Raging, and the Sleep Dart from Alarm on a Sparkle is huge, but the hack from Hisu on a Fielder, you're playing around that Immortality Field coming down if you're the Paris Eternal. That's why you're standing ground there. When it can't come down, you start to panic a little bit. You saw how all those players are just getting chunked down. Fury comes in with a bubble, extra Zarya damage, Primal Rage. They're able to force them back, and now the Philly Fusion just need one tick here on point B to take it.
EMP, Blade, Graviton, Nano Boost, everything but the Kitchen Primal Rage for Philadelphia. Hisu wants to stop Fielder from using his Immortality again.
They use this.
Fielder, does he get an Immortality Field down? It doesn't look like it, no. So the hack did come out at the right time. Still, Hanbin catches most of Philly with that Gravitic Flux. That is nasty. Philly caught in midair.
That's a bad fight for Philly.
Okay, Sato is primal here.
That's a lot thrown out of here.
Hanbin's forced away. I mean, he's going to struggle. I mean, Sigma struggles against Zarya in general without that shield. Sato has a bubble still alive somehow? That's bizarre how Philly have converted this.
They'll have Ivy and Hisu back in. They've gotten high ground control now.
I mean, they have their Ana on the high ground, Matt. That is a big win condition for this composition if Alarm can stay alive here. I mean, who can contest this? He drops back, trying to keep Fury alive now, and there it is.
No, yeah. I don't know if I agree with the Philly Fusion throwing all those ultimates into that. I think once they saw the Gravitic Flux come down, there was no reason to kind of invest more after. They're able to even make it more interesting than I think either of us thought. Well, Paris Eternal make a switch. They'll go with Hanbin playing the Zarya now. Sparkle switches over to the Tracer in the last fight, but interesting. The Zarya gives them some extra protection with bubbles for the backline as Ivy takes out Sparkle. It also allows them to put down some extra damage on Sado coming on in.
There might have been a sleep dart involved in that, Matt. There was an assist from Alarm, so we don't really know. Mana boost on Sado. We take those. Empty got able to back away here. Who's Sado trying to go for here? Maybe just create some space first and then wait for a jump cooldown, but he's so low to the high ground, and Sparkle just gets away by dashing. A little disjointed from Philadelphia there. Paris did very, very well just to not lose their cool and start firing off random abilities.
Well, this is where Paris' comp starts to win out, right? They can just sit point.
They didn't want to keep up
Where do you go?
Oh, they bait in a 5-player EMP! Paris walk into that one. Philly is so good at taking breaks mid-fight. It's like they just disengage for a moment. And Paris, despite having a better composition and cool heads, it seemed, end up walking into a trap set by the Fusion.
Yeah, they just bait them into that. They bail out for a quick second. They think that Philly is a little bit too spread out to make a play. EMP Blade come down at the same exact time, and Philly able to take the point really quickly after that. I don't hate what Paris did, and I actually think they look quite good at it. I think maybe going to a different map with less verticality could benefit the composition that they're trying to run. I think that would give them a slight advantage moving forward against Philly.
Right, well, Escort is up next. So we have Route 66, Havana, and Gibraltar. So there's high ground.
You don't want to go to Gibraltar.
Havana,
that's how
right?
I feel like. I think you kind of have to play Havana. I think playing like a Winston Genji Sombra on Havana the entire time would be way harder to do. Like Gibraltar, you can definitely do it. Route 66, you can definitely do it as
Gibraltar,
well.
Right? At least the Anna Winston.
Yeah, you kind of feel like this has to be Havana for the Paris Eternal.
Well, big decisions approaching now for the Paris Eternal, who still haven't managed to figure out a way to break Philly's dive approach. We'll be back in just a moment, guys. A quick break to catch a breath, and when we return, Paris, it's their last chance to stay alive in this series. There must be a W on Escort. Stick around to see if they can make it.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network, T-Mobile. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor. And by TeamSpeak. the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Overwatch League. Philadelphia Fusion stand currently in a commanding position in this series. They look very good when it comes to Sombra, Genji, Dive. The Paris Eternal, look, I mean, they tried quite a few different compositions on Hanamura.
Right.
You said you liked what you saw from them. You said you want to see more of it for the rest of the series.
Yeah, and they do exactly what we were discussing, is they pick Havana. You have to take Havana here if you're the Paris Eternal. Interesting enough, we don't see subs for either team. So Philly, which I kind of like, which is odd because you rarely like the philosophy for both teams like in a matchup. Usually there's one that you kind of favor over the other, but I kind of like this one in terms of Philly saying, we're going to play this until you beat us. And then Paris saying, okay, we feel like we have what it takes to beat you with this lineup in. And they were close to doing it on Hanamura. But, no, maybe the map just didn't play in their favor in terms of how the map is built and the ability to dive on second point and whatnot. So now you run it back here on Havana, a much different map. Maybe you're able to do it.
So theorycraft this for me then. So we see Xe and Sparkle stay in. Probably going to see Widowmaker on Havana. We saw that from Xe yesterday. Look very good. How does this compare, I guess, to like a dive composite? Like, can you even play that much dive on this map as attackers?
You can. It's going to be hard, though. I mean, just think about where you have to get the payload of this first Streets phase. Like, how do you play that with a Winston type of setup? The one way you would play it is almost like if you wanted to play Zarya on the cart or play like something with a Sigma, where Sigma can kind of like hold the cart and then play like a dive on other angles. We have seen in the past like Sigma Wrecking Ball type of compositions with dive. But even then, I don't think you're like, are you going to put Sato on Wrecking Ball here? I don't think so. At least personally, I think you probably leave this lineup in to keep doing what they've already done.
Well, something's got to give here for the Paris Eternal. They absolutely need to make it happen here on Havana. They chose the map. They looked fantastic on it yesterday. And it's going to be their savior in this series if they get their way. They'll be starting on defense. So we'll get to see what the Philadelphia Fusion try for here. Obviously, Sato and Fury, they can play any of those sort of tank combinations that they need to. We're all way more interested in what Ivy and Hisu actually play here.
Hey, look, if you're, there's a point to be made for the Philly Fusion. They have not stopped this. They have not really shown. What I think Philly has probably seen the most is that Paris has been very reactive to this composition and not being able to make what they do work against it and having to switch. And like Sparkle plays stuff like Tracer and Reaper and stuff. Like, if you can just move him off of Genji and Doomfist and like some of the other heroes he's really known for and make him play some of these oddball picks, you feel like it's a win.
All right, well, let's see. Let's see if Paris can force Philly off of this this kind of crazy setup.
The Zen is going to be difficult to deal with as well, mind you. Like, now Paris adding the Zenyatta into the mix. The Discords, like, Sato needs to play this perfectly.
Yeah, so much to contend with. Immortality Field within the Discord orbs. I mean, the tank line is nasty. You've got Xe banging out your back line as well if you're not careful.
And right now, I mean, you see he just gets hit with a rock, accretion, like...
I have no idea what Philly think they're supposed to do here.
What is the plan here? Moving in towards the inside closes the gap.
And they can get closer to Xe without exposing themselves to Widow.
Yeah, but now Xe just rotates, right?
Yeah, this is going about the way that you kind of predicted it would, Matthew.
Yeah.
Immortality Field was there, even with a nice biotic grenade from Alarm. That kind of just gets negated.
And this is just, honestly, it's a really smart read from the Paris Eternal. Let's take them to a map. Doesn't favor them. Gives us a big advantage in terms of the composition we want to run. And make it really difficult. Like, they're just trying to get the payload up the street to force them.
Funny Astro moving the car.
They're just trying to get them further around the corner. They need to create space. They're just trying to get the payload up around the corner so they can get in.
All right. Oh, he's okay. The hack that was on the Empty God. No Immortality Field means no Zenyatta, and Empty God gets picked up right after. I I can't believe Philly are playing hard mode right now. Like, they are making this unnecessarily hard by playing this comp, and it worked out because the coordination looks so good.
And you can only really play this, like, because you have, like, because Alarm is getting nano so fast, and then Sato's Winston just being able to stay alive, like, so many other Winstons we've seen play into this type of stuff just get picked off so easily. Like, the ability to keep Sato alive is unreal.
I mean, now, yeah, Fielder getting picked off in the back line there. Ben Bester stands up on the point, but Fury's charged up now. He got a long fight to get all of this charge now. He acts as another DPS. He doesn't care about Sigma. If you're Sigma and the enemy Zarya walks past your shield, you can't do anything. If you try and increase it, she has plenty of notice to bubble herself. If you try and recall your shield, she'll just step past the next one. And you can't use Kinetic Grasp on her, so she's just going to ruin you.
So now Xe goes over to Ashe here for the inside phase. I think you could have even gone McCree here in terms of like the effective range. They're gonna try and get a grab from behind and then a biotic grenade here if they play bridge. They're playing far. Yeah.
Gonna have the Ashe home by 10 here. No Widowmaker this time. EMP, and that's also hit the Supercharger, I think, which is just gonna hurt the damage. Supercharger now gets forced out by FD God, or of FD God, should I say. The Transcendence though from Fielder was just right.
And Philly's gonna try and win this. They're gonna, oh, they bait out the Gravitic Flux. They get absolutely nobody with it. Is the blade good enough to get anything, though, as Ivy falls? It's not.
No, it's not. Not with that nano boost. I think it was a defensive Gravitic Flux from Hanbin, I suppose, but Ivy didn't really have... I mean, he wasn't really going to be much threat.
He baited it, though. Like, when the Ivy pulls out the blade, gets the nano, he starts to go towards the bridge. Hanbin uses the Gravitic Flux, and you can see Ivy to the left-hand side. Doesn't even make it up onto the bridge.
Ivy did get nanoed then.
Yes.
Okay, right, well that makes sense then to use Gravitic Flux. Then defensively, but Ivy doesn't get anything when he tries to hit that backline. FD got hacked again. Oh man, stuff out there for Batiste. And now the healing for Paris is really average with Justice and Yada. And Matt, okay, so let's just establish this. We spent a lot of time talking about how hard it is to dive this comp, right? Like Paris have so many tools to make it hard for Sato to stick to a target or for Ivy to get an easy pick. As soon as you hack the Batiste,
right,
the script on all that gets completely flipped.
Well, yeah, this is a better version of it, though, I think, with the Sparkle on Tracer is a bit odd, but, you know, having Fielder play the Batiste and then have FD God play the Brig, I think this is much better. It gives you a little bit more healing. You can play Brawly with the Brigitte.
Stun the Sombra as well if she tries to go for some sort of hack. Oh, and that's a nasty biting grenade as well, and that Immortality Field, it's not enough! The entirety of the Eternal get knocked out of it, and then it expires anyway. There wasn't enough healing, you know, during the period of that Immortality Field being down because of such a big biotic grenade on 3 people. Everybody on Philly is operating at peak capacity right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe you're able to make this work. Is look at Alarm just taking the duel up on the high ground, and nano boost here from Alarm onto Hisu. So you hear the Sombra, little gun, go burr.
Quite satisfying, actually, when nanoed.
Yep. You don't see it often. Now you'll have the Philly Fusion take checkpoint 2, and look at this image. You'll have EMP Blade set up here. Hanbin now plays Zarya. It just seems like the Eternal are just struggling for answers, just cycling through heroes here.
You know what I'm not looking forward to? The next time I catch up with Tucker, and he gives me that annoying grin, he's like, yo, Mitch, remember when you thought our dive composition was going to lose to double shield? God, please don't let that happen. Paris, much better. They get rid of Sato to begin.
Sparkle almost walks into his death there, yeah. It was just a right click from Ivy.
Wow, this is buffed Genji, so
this feels like another fight though where they're baiting them in, right? Like Philly knows they have this EMP, they're just allowing the...
Where was that?
Where did he even get stuff from? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he can't finish the Tracer on his own. Even if he throws bio while having shots. Sparkle tries to recall, but he recalls back to a very close location because he was slept for so long. So that's the pick for Philly. They bait into the Tracer in. Here's an EMP catching the front line of Paris. So Hanbin has no bubbles to give to Benbest, no way to get charged, which means no damage.
You're still able to win the fight if you're the Philly Fusion. You have to end up using your grab. You probably would have liked to hold on to that one. Next fight, though, you have double support ult and Blade. And look at this. They have nothing. No rally, no grab. Bob, you used a lot in that fight for the Paris Eternal. You're in trouble here for Paris. This is a spot where Sato can get to the high ground, put some damage. Sato will probably have Primal Rage here as well.
Alarm sees the Hulk coming, tries to sleep into the back line, but Sparkle will be allowed to do what he wants for the time being. Alarm knows he's being harassed. He tries to get rid of this Nano Boost now, and Ivy's trying to get rid of the Eternal. Immortality Field there was right on time by Field. You can't fault him for that. Great whip shot, preventing Ivy from getting a dash reset for his last slash of the blade.
Oh, that was good D from Paris.
Yeah, FD got very good FD.
Well, what they decided to do there is when the blade came in, instead of trying to turn and deal with it, they just muscled through the remaining players on the card. They said, hey, you know, look, they have a Winston in the back line, Nano Blade. There's no saving Xe in the back. You know, you had Fielder there as well. Let's just use our Brig and push through the front line. There's nobody here. And they're able to win those engagements. Now give themselves a chance to hold the cart.
Sparkle's hunting for something.
Oh, nice. That was a good halt there from Ben Best.
Only 23 seconds left. Paris Eternal have been doing very well, actually, even when short-handed in some of these fights, Matt.
Grab Pulse Bomb here. It's a possibility.
Okay, Primal might make this a little hard to put together. I don't know what Sato is trying to do. He's just... Oh, right now he's just bouncing around the place, actually.
He has to just touch point.
Right. He was low on
Trigger
health.
OT.
He got point. Here comes that Graviton Surge. Pulse Bomb you expect will be coming out in just a moment. Oh! The hack! No chance for Sparkle to drop the Pulse Bomb. Maybe tried to. It just didn't really find its mark. Either way, Heartbeat is down. Fury's close to a grab. But he needs to get damage, not on shield, to actually charge that one up properly. Alarm lets the Nano Boost go now. So Ivy's going to try and make something happen here. It looks like Alarm nanoed a target that was just about to die. Maybe it was Sato.
He doesn't want to push in here because you're playing around Fury's grab.
Oh no! Fury over the edge. Fantastic punch by Sparkle. The Doomfist comes out at just the right time. Bit of a clutch pick for him. And yes, Philly weren't ready for it. They are knocked off of the card. And the Paris Eternal, really impressive. They weather the storm of this frustrating dive composition, and they prevent Philly from finishing the map.
They come out clutch. That one, it was looking like it was getting out of control again, but that time Paris was able to stabilize, and it was that one fight where Nano Blade comes in for the Philly fusion. Paris, instead of turning and trying to defend it, which it would have allowed Fury and Co to just kind of push up, eliminate players, they just push straight on through it with the Orisa and their own Zarya and their Brig. They're able to take out players just for the fusion, playing on cart. It's the right decision there. See what they decide to do on defense. Philly, I think, probably comes out, plays that same dive yet again. Paris, do you try and play like Xe on Ashe? Do you try and play him on Widow? You can maybe play some McCree. This is interesting. So this tells me that Philly wants to play brawly and close. They want to defend really close to the door.
A little dangerous this is, because this, I believe Paris probably look at their best when they're dealing with double shield, but this is a twist for Philly. More mobile, more lethal. And it has Mei, so that's filthy.
Oh, I think this will probably catch them off guard a little bit. They probably expect Philly to play something a little bit more dive-centric on D.
But once the surprise factor expires, is this still a good comp to be going with?
This is what they tried to play on Control, right?
That's true.
This is exactly minus Carpe and Poco. This is exactly the composition they ran on Control, where they got dominated. The only thing here is Paris cannot kite it as easily because there's a central objective that they have to go to. This is almost like if Philly would have had control of the point, right. We would have seen it play on Control.
That's a fantastic way of putting it, Matt. Yeah, it's like this is more of a dynamic setup now, where Philly actually get to choose to have Paris come to them. And, well, FD God walks straight into Hisu's sights on the Widow.
Like, this is how it would have worked if they were holding control of the point. Mind you, Sparkle's 90% to Blade.
Oh my, that's so fast.
The dash through and the damage is pretty decent.
This guy is crazy. All right, he'll have a Blade in just a moment here.
Can he use it safely, though?
He was going to try it anyway. I mean, he wants to brawl and it gets punished. Okay, it's a trade. Sato goes down. Discord will finally get stuck in that coalescence from Alarm. It's not really enough to keep the frontliners alive for Philly. They can stag and brawl out a little bit here, but eventually they'll have to give some ground. Oh my God, Hisu! 2 quick headshots in succession. The grapple shot, it looks stylish. And I mean, yeah, I don't think Sparkle wants to hang around out in the open.
Yeah, I was going to say, you still had your third tank on the point with Mei, but you may as well back out here. Now this becomes much harder for Philly to play. Now it'll probably look a little bit like how it looked on Control.
Imprecide's down. They'll know where the Doomfist comes from at any rate. And also, I think he's trying to pick Fielder out of the mix here. But Fielder sees him coming, and Hanbin helps him finish it off. Now, the Fusion are in full-scale retreat here, and it's like they can't get back quickly enough. Hanbin wants to catch Sato in that kinetic gravitic flux. That's the only player he wants. Now inside the Blizzard, Hanbin is frozen up, and there's a Transcendent there by Fielder. So Paris really have all the tools they need. Now against the Sound Barrier Philly, they want to be careful, but they still want to brawl. Hanbin shields himself up again, and look how far forward Benbest is playing. Paris are out for blood here, but they've lost Hanbin to a Coalescence. The cart, though, it marches on.
Yeah, they're going to turn this, though. Philly will be able to win this on the defensive end. Because you invested everything in there. But that also tells you that Philly is, you're kind of playing in the long game, right? You know you got the cart pretty far. Havana, a very difficult map to finish.
They're playing Widowmaker here on first, which is a bunch of fun.
It's definitely one that's probably shocked Paris, because if you would have thought they would have played Widow or any type of hit scan like this, that Carpe would be in the game.
But Hisu has looked incredibly good.
Look at this wrap to the high ground.
Now they're pushing Exi. She's trying to get away. I mean, you see even Alarm is pushing there with the kinetic grasp. Sparkle, where does he go with this? Fury's already down now to some dynamite. There's a supercharger in play. Funny Astro finds Sparkle though, and another Blizzard. The Eternal can't contest this. They have to back off the payload once more, and Hisu had plenty of room. FD God swoops in and saves the day. And now Funny Astro just keeps his head down a little bit on the cart. There's plenty of healing for Philadelphia here, and Paris are starting to get desperate.
So Exi gets one. Still have Hanbin here. He may get staggered out.
Oh, he will get staggered out.
Yeah, Sparkle diving in as well. I don't think you can win this with the state that the Paris Eternal are in right now, right?
Oh, Hanbin, that's devastating. He tried to get away. He almost did.
Sparkle's got to get out with his life as well. Okay, he does make it. Hanbin will come back, and they'll have a Gravitic Flux. They'll have a Bob.
I wonder
Walls, though, so you'll know exactly what's coming here for the Fusion.
Alarm may go aggressive with his Coalescence here, and Hisu, Infrasight is huge, especially if you want to get rid of Fielder early, maybe before he gets Coalescence. What is Hisu looking for? Coalescence has already come out here. Oh, there it is! Pick on Exi. Can't quite find the Moira. Hisu in a very safe position now. Who's going to challenge him here? Who is going to step up and go after this young gun? Sparkle's not even bothering right now. Field is stuck in position there. He can't move unless he has a fade. And Benbest goes down on the point without the healing, and Hisu finds yet another one. The second coming of Carpe. And the Philly Fusion close the series out here on Havana against the Eternal. First, it's a dive composition with Sombra. And then they mix it up. They go for Reinhardt, a brawl composition featuring Widow. Something completely off the wall. And you were right, Matt. It looked like the Eternal were caught by surprise.
They definitely were caught off by surprise, but I think Philly they were tremendous. Once they made the adjustments to play Hisu and Ivy for the rest of the series pretty much, and not play more standard type of compositions and play this dive that they've really been working on. And we've seen them run it on lots of different maps. They've run it on Gibraltar, and Nimbani we saw it on in this series, and it's always looked really good. They go to it today, and Paris had no answer for it. You see, Paris really gave a good effort in trying to play like more of a stationary, like bunkery type of style, just kind of hunkering down around like an Orisa or Rhine. They tried it without the Lucio and really playing around like Immortality and Brig. They tried it with a fast play, with like rush comps trying to run players down. It didn't work either time. They had to switch Sparkle off of the Genji numerous times to other picks like the Tracer, the Reaper, the Doomfist, and they were never able to really materialize anything. I think it really speaks to more. Like, I still think Paris Eternal is a fantastic team, and I still think they had the capabilities of winning the series. I think it just speaks to how strong Philly's dive actually is.
Yeah, I think you saw Paris multiple times. They tried to like trim their risk, right? Pick safer heroes, go away from the Zen, go to Brig, go away from the Widow, go to Ashe. It still wasn't enough. Philadelphia were able to force a lot of errors and get a lot of value. It's time now, of course, to highlight one of the most impressive players over the course of this series. Your player of the match presented by Xfinity today is none other than Alarm. The sleep darts were crazy.
Guy was nuts.
But the biotic grenades were really important, I think, at a lot of points, enabling your Winston to get easy follow-up kills.
If you needed a reason to vote for Alarm for T-Mobile MVP, just watch a little bit of a cut down of this series from his point of view. I mean, just tremendous Ana play all throughout. The sleep, every time there's a big ultimate, whether like a Dragon Blade, Deadeye, like any type of setup coming in from the Paris Eternal, felt like he was able to just negate it with a sleep dart right away. Like, Philly never even had to worry about it. His usage of the nano boost onto different targets, whether it be Nano Blade, Nano onto the Winston, got great value out of all of them. I thought Alarm was the biggest difference in the series today, without a doubt.
Yeah, and quite often I actually noticed that Alarm wasn't using his sleep dart on cooldown at all. At one point after Numbani, I think he only had like 7 sleeps over much of that map.
Yeah.
So he was specifically, he wasn't always 100% sure when there would be like a Dragon Blade or a Deadeye or an EMP. Maybe he wasn't able to track them himself, but he was holding the sleep dart to make sure he shut down a key ultimate. Other times, you know, he was able to fend for himself, dealing with Traces and Genjis and stuff in the backline. So incredible stuff. I think Funny Astro works really well alongside him because he's such a defensive sort of support-focused Brig player. He's not trying to go crazy aggressive. He really helps keep his line incredibly safe. Matt, we have an absolute firecracker of a final now here in our Countdown Cup.
We haven't really seen Fusion Shock this season. I think it's a matchup like everybody's wanted for a really long time. And I'm excited to see this variation of it. Because if you're the Shock and you just watched what they did, you know, the Shock, they love to play Smurf on the Winston.
Yeah.
Do you want to try and match that? Or do you want to play, you know, Ons on the Widow, Ons on the Ashe? It's going to be a tough decision for San Francisco.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you might be ready for a throwback to a golden era of Overwatch from where it was dive only. We actually get with I guess a twist now because we see Zarya getting used in these dive compositions, which is crazy. So whichever way you slice it, the final of this Countdown Cup between the Philadelphia Fusion and the San Francisco Shock is going to be one to remember. Don't touch the URL bar. Don't go anywhere. Stick around. We'll be back with the final right after this.